All right, guys. So we had a weekday in the SPY. You can see, I guess yesterday I said, hey, we're back above the 200-day wall. That didn't last long, right? So when you look at the overall chart, it looks like kind of we bear flagged up into the 200-day and heading lower again. Pretty good volume. So we'll see what happens going forward. Today was the kind of day that here was, I think, well, here's a good example of a call that I made. Give me 1 second. I'll bring it up. So there's the daily on XHLD. It was already on the watch list as a potential bounce play, treating it like a bounce play. We had the gap up, then another red day. And so you can see what it did. But if you were in chat today, you'll see my call. Let me get extended hours off of there. So there's the opening candle. And as it was coming back up, I said I liked it over the highs, which is over the early 190. And let me pan back out. And the reason being that yesterday's high, it's already a recent high flyer, right? And this would be an opening range breakout. And yesterday's high was only 8 cents above. So we break 190. My theory is it's a good chance maybe we take out yesterday's high as well and get a little mini squeeze. That's exactly what happened. So the entry there, and we got over the course of, I don't know, 10, 12 minutes, got a really nice percentage move. And then it rolled back over. That's kind of a good example of the type of, precise trades we had to look for. But you always want to take a trade that makes sense, right? That has catalysts above. Like one example would be yesterday's high, and you always want it to be kind of a recent mover or an in-play stock because it had news that day. So not an exciting day, but that's kind of a good example of today, right? Let's put this up here real quick for our new people in chat. Please pause the video and read that. I'll give you a good description of what we're all about. And now let's go into what we're watching for tomorrow. Hopefully find some day trades in, right? OSRH, massive volume today, gapped up. I thought this was going to maybe take out the early highs in the afternoon. I'll switch to 5-minute candles here. You had this kind of intraday cup and handle, and I would have taken it. I said I'd take it over like 415 through the open, and it never happened. You had the cup and handle is the only thing I was sitting there watching. Thought we could have had a late day squeeze and then a further squeeze into after hours, but it never triggered. It rolled over instead. Anyway, the daily is still the daily, and it's still a gap up on big volume, so it goes on watch for tomorrow. VVPR, there's no chart setup here. It's just a crazy mover, but it's in play, and so I want to watch it tomorrow. DATS, you had the rip yesterday. Today, kind of a quiet inside day. Maybe a third day play set up there. MLGO is another one where there's no chart set up here. We just had the craziest move in the world. Okay, well, not in the world, but we've seen crazier ones, but this was crazy. And now we had this quiet red day. Absolutely worth watching tomorrow for an A+ setup. Could really get a squeeze, or it might not even give us any kind of setup. ALMS, I actually took a dime loss on this one today, trying to play a pullback. I said that I didn't, the daily was weird, right? You had the gap up and the sell off, and then today you had a big rip. And then as it came back down, I tried this whole number flush below 5. I got filled, I don't know, 494 or something like that. I only gave it a dime. And so I stopped out right there. And it just chopped around the rest of the day anyway. But you had this crazy move. I didn't like the daily, but it was probably part of it. You could call a boredom trade, right? Because I finally had something that had increasing volume and a strong move. Even though I didn't like the daily, I thought I'm still going to try a pullback play, and it just didn't work out. Wasn't a big loss, but it's a good example of maybe a boredom trade. Because look at the daily, right? It's just weird, but it's had big volume in the last couple days. I couldn't believe today it opened below yesterday's low and then took out yesterday's high before closing in the middle of range. And that's another example of there's really no chart setup, but it's kind of in play. So I'm going to watch it. AQB. Some nice posts in chat on that one early, way before it made that run. So you guys were all over that one. JTR and some other folks. Nice job. SES. Just putting one penny stock on the list. You had this massive volume, and now you're kind of in a range. Over that range. Could be worth a shot. PSTV. Another one that had a crazy move. Another crazy move, and now it's just kind of quietly going sideways. We'll see if it gives us something. CRVO goes back on bounce watch, came down to almost a 20-day after this crazy move, 3 days lower on much lower volume. Probably my favorite chart to watch going into tomorrow. And then Woof, WOOF. In after hours, it's trading at 271 after reporting earnings. If it's still gapping, we're going to watch that one tomorrow. And then we'll check it in the morning. And then GTEC, as I'm talking to you, is trading at 208. So a big gap up there after reporting earnings. So those two will be added to the gap list. And I'll see you guys in the pre-market. We'll add some more. Have a good night.